Around when I was 6 years old is when I had my first encounter with the paranormal. Some might say, that it was sleep paralysis, but whatever you call it, it was a strange experience at that. I was constantly getting sick around that age. I was actually suffering from tonsillitis, and it took the doctors about half a year to know what was wrong with me, which is very strange to me because you would think one look with a tongue depressor and you would know that it was tonsillitis. But they told my parents that I had asthma. They put me on cough medicine. They told my parents I was bulimic, and ultimately that led to a lot of problems at my house. They believed I was refusing to eat because of what the doctors told them. And I was not bulimic. I was more afraid of eating because I was afraid to vomit. I vomited almost every day. I was constantly becoming dehydrated and sick, and I was rarely going to school. And I was known as the kid that was always going to the nurse's office and being sent home. So even when I was in school, I was getting bullied. On the playground, I remember no kids wanting to play with me because they told me I had cooties. They were like, "You have cooties. Get away from me." And it caused a lot of sadness. And ultimately, I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to stay home. And it did take a while for me to get to surgery. I did end up having my tonsils removed. But before all of that, there was this night between the time that I had to go in for surgery and suffering with the inflamed tonsils. I was constantly waking up in my own vomit. I couldn't sleep a night straight. There was actually this one night in particular that I felt like I woke up. On the floor of my room, I had dolls lined up, and then one of them was this somersault doll that she was made of plastic. She had these little hooks in her hands, and when you would crank the side, she would do somersaults. And I remember waking up, and on the floor and around my TV and on my bed, there were these snakes and caterpillars and bugs everywhere. And I can remember them making sounds, like that sound that comes from a rattlesnake. And then just the sound of extreme crawling. And my doll that did somersaults, she had her hands to her face, like as if she was screaming. And then this hand from the side of my bed comes up and squeezes me and makes me vomit. And I don't remember waking up if it was a dream. I just remember right after that, I was crying. I was already up. And I cried for my mom and dad, and they came in. And then that night I got in trouble. Because, I do understand. There was vomit all over my bed, and it's gotta be extremely uncomfortable to have to wake up in the middle of the night to clean when you, an adult, have work in the morning. And to this day, I can't tell if it was a negative evil energy or a positive energy. The only thing I could think of is that it was a warning. Maybe I was close to dying. Maybe if I didn't get help soon, I would have died. My parents actually ended up recording me at nighttime because the doctors, they weren't sure as to what was wrong, and they brought in a recording of me sleeping, and they could hear that I could inhale, but when I would exhale, I was struggling, and I was actually suffocating in my own vomit at night. So very easily one night they could have woken up and I could have just been dead from choking on my own vomit. On top of that, it didn't make it any better. There was mold in my room, right above my bed. And this mold just got worse, the more that I got worse. It's like my room was getting sick with me. Or maybe that's just how I saw it. Later on, like my first year of high school, I was looking around in the bathroom cabinet for something, and I found the words in the bottom right of the cabinet. Etched in it were the words "bottom rot bed." And it was very strange. And maybe, the family or the families before that lived here actually had problems with mold too, which is, fairly common. And maybe that the mold was the source of my problem. And of course, we did end up getting the mold taken out and repainting. We always used a humidifier afterwards too. But this wasn't the only incident that I had in my house. There's so many that I would like to share. There's people that I know that still remember the stories that I had told them back in middle school, even to high school. And to me, they're memories, they're real, they're true, and they're not scripted. So if these videos are too long or maybe too short, I don't write them down. I just talk about it as I go. I remember details. If you've made it this far, if you've made it to the end of this video, I would hope that you would stay and listen to the stories that I have, for the future. I will definitely try to keep uploading, and again, these are my stories. I'm gonna try and stick to the ones that I have, and I hope that you enjoy them. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe if this is something that you would be into and would enjoy. I thank you for sticking around, and I hope that you stay for more. Thank you.